Okay, everyone. Welcome to the stream. My name is Kaiserin Estrella. Today we are going to go dive back into Seduce Me Too. This is actually like, I don't know. When I start playing a game, it's like I just barrel through. So last time we did Diana's route. That is this purple person right here. And we can go through real quick-a-rooney. Oh, that's Damon. Whoopsies. Go back to Diana. And, oh, we're still missing one. I'm guessing that happens if we don't die. Like, if we don't make him kill us, but he still gets the girl. We're not going to do that. We're not about that life. Last time, we talked about how I am not so much into the baby boy trope, but that's what we're going to do today. All the routes are super sweet, so I know that it'll be a lot of fun anyway. We're gonna plow through. I'm going in blind. I've played the first game, but since this time it's kind of new, I'll actually go through the everything, and that way the recordings will be there. It'll all be good. You get to see the backstory. And if anything, this will actually make more sense because, you know, the boys' routes are a little bit more how the game was intended to flow. As opposed to, you know, like, I feel like Diana's route is kind of a little bit off the beaten path. Especially since it's an otome game, which implies that it's, you know, a female protagonist with male love interests. Anyway, yeah, we're just gonna dive right in.
Hold on there! Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
I know, you're so kind.
First of all, have you read the first story?
I have.
Seduce Me the Otome? Like, seriously read it. No skimming, no pretending to read it. No. It's okay if you haven't, but there are a lot of things in this game that you won't understand unless you fully experienced and understood that story first.
So since my first stream, I actually went through all this. However, it didn't get saved as archived as a recording. This time I'm recording, so this time I'm actually gonna go through this, let her explain it. Hopefully that will make more sense. So we say no.
Phew, good thing I asked, huh? Well, then let me summarize everything for you and get you up to speed.
I'm ready, girl. Let's go.
You are the granddaughter of a CEO who is known for his heart of gold and the charity he did with his company, the Anderson Toys Company. He treated you like his own daughter, while your real father expected you to become perfect at school and set for your future. Unfortunately, one day your grandfather passed away unexpectedly. While the event was indeed sad, he left you with his mansion and his share of the company. Because your father wanted you to learn independence, he forced you to move in the day after. How rude is that?
So, since we've done the Diana route, we should know that Diana is actually the reason that our grandfather passed away, because what happened is that the boys were fleeing from the demon lord, and they got in contact with my grandfather, and he allowed them through to the human world. But then Diana, wanting to save her kingdom, went in after them, and in her recklessness used the remaining life force that my grandfather had, and he passed away from that. So that is part of the story that the main character will not know, because we are presuming of this route. So let's see.
Anyway,
what else they tell us.
When you moved in, you found 5 pretty sexy looking wounded men in your lobby who claim to be incubi, demons who feed on sexual energy. Like, score.
Literally, though,
we
score.
We have James, the eldest, Eric, the sly second, Sam, the brutish third, Matthew, the childish fourth, and Damien, the quiet fifth. All of them have different abilities and personalities, but they all have the same father, so they're technically brothers.
And we are going through Matthew. Matthew is the childish fourth. I already did Damien's route. We couldn't go through it again at another time because I just went straight ahead to the good end. But I might do it again to get the other end.
Anyway, they were running away from a group of thugs led by a devil named Malix. Because they were wounded and because you had a good heart, you let them stay until they healed up and defeated him fair and square.
So this is different from Diana's route. Before, they were... before the boys were kicked out by me because I was like, the fuck? I got kidnapped by this guy. I don't want you here. And that's when Diana comes in. This is the first game. But now, since we are in love with one of the boys, they all stay.
That didn't go as planned. Without getting into the extra stuff that happened, you essentially got close to one of them, and then you got kidnapped. When you did, you had the choice to summon one of them to your side to save you, or to fight Malix yourself. Either way, he got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
But you didn't want them to leave. So you asked them to stay. Ah, yeah!
She literally summarizes my, innermost cheerleader feelings.
Everything was going well, and you maybe had a chance to get closer to one of the incubi. But then she came.
Oh, dun, dun, dun.
Who? Cruel, nasty, dirty Diana. She is a succubus of the highest caliber, and she came and vowed to take the boys away from you. When you told the boys, she came and tried to talk them into leaving as if you didn't matter. How rude.
Yeah, whoops. We started by romancing the enemy of the first game. Whoopsie daisy.
Because they liked you more than her, they stood up to her and said no. Go, boys! Still, that didn't stop her from trying to scare you at your own school.
Oh, I don't even remember that. Oh, in the first game, there were actually, love routes that were outside of the incubi boys. I think you could be with 2 of your female school friends. So even the first game, you had female routes, which I thought was pretty cool. The only problem was that, they're not magical, demon incubi boys, so it wasn't as interesting. And then there was also a guy, because you had a childhood friend, I think, that sort of thing. I remember kind of feeling weird about that ending. I was like, wow, this is stupid. But, hey, variety, am I right?
It was then that the boys told you who they really were. Princes.
Shit.
They were the sons of a powerful overlord named the Demon Lord, and Diana was promised to marry one of them and to be queen. No love at all.
Yeah, that sucks. And I mean, Diana, all she cared about was keeping her kingdom intact. She told us in her love route that she didn't even know what love was. For demons, for people who need sex as food, I'm sure it's quite different in terms of love and cherishing.
That's when the one incubus you got close to promised to stay with you and protect you forever. He even stood up to Diana when she singled him out, and he swore that he loved you. How sweet.
You'd think that Diana would just go to the next guy being well.
So Diana left, taking your energy and all of your potential magical abilities before heading back to the demon world. But you've been with your guy ever since.
Oh, I don't remember that. She took our energy? What? Whatever.
I think that's everything that's generally important. Now, let me ask you something else. You do know this is Matthew's route, right? That cute fourth son, the one who made Simon Tabby the creepy doll?
Oh, right. Simon Tabby. So Matthew has the magical ability to make, I guess, dolls that are kind of lively in a certain way. I mean, cool. You know, that's rad. I'm curious as to what happens if they
now you do.
didn't.
It's not too late to go back
okay.
to the main.
Yeah.
But if you want to know about him, I can tell you.
Sure. Tell me about him.
Matthew is the fourth brother of the Incubi brothers. He looks like he's the youngest, but he isn't. He just has a baby face, and kinda got the short end of the stick when it came to being like an adult.
Yeah, I know.
Living in the demon world wasn't easy for him. Because he was the fourth son, he wasn't really cared for by anyone, except his brothers and his mother. While she taught him how to be a proper demon, he comforted her whenever she felt upset or downtrodden. It's kinda sweet. Still, to say that Matthew's a kid is a big insult. He's very skilled in cooking and baking and can make small objects in his pockets. He's also a little more mature than you think, especially when he tries to seduce you. Ooh.
I just can't get over her, like, ooh. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least he can cook because, I mean, I have, like, if it has to do with an oven, I'm down. But any other kind of cooking, I always end up just being like, well, shit. Like, I tried to make, sunny side up eggs, and I forgot this whatever you use to make it, like, not stick. And it's just like, ugh, because then it's like, oh, well, you know, guess it's not sunny side up anymore. It's just scrambled. Because that's the only way I'm going to get this fucking egg off my fucking pan. Yeah, that's my life.
He is also a bit unpredictable. When he fought Malix, he was like a ninja of sorts, throwing daggers and being like a circus knife thrower. It was pretty cool, to say the least.
Alright, that's fine.
Anyway, when Diana came to him, Matthew didn't want to have anything to do with her. Even when Diana talked about Matthew's mother, Matthew didn't budge and refused to give in to Diana's request for him to return to the demon world. Diana left, and you two pretty much lived happily for 2 whole years. Now Matthew works at the Anderson Toys Company, along with James, his eldest brother, into bringing the company into brand new heights. It's kind of awesome, to say the least.
Yeah, that makes sense. So James, being the oldest, he's probably, you know, the leader, whereas Matthew, our current love interest, I'm sure he's where a lot of the inspiration for these new toys come from, because he's already making these, you know, things, right?
And that's Matthew. So, what do you think?
Let's get it going. Let's go.
Glad you do. Anyway, I have one last question for you. Some people
Trigger warnings. Yep.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Well, this game is recommended for players ages 18 and up. Trigger warnings include suicide, war, torture, mentions of rape, and a large amount of violence and sexual content.
Yep. There you have it, folks. So far, I haven't seen anything truly traumatic. So, but we'll see.
Don't worry, though. Any sex scene choice you encounter is completely up to you. You can play this game without needing to go through the sex scenes and still get the good endings. Consent is important.
Yes, it is. And because of Twitch's no sexual content policy, I'm going to be choosing to skip the sex scenes because of that. And, you know, honestly, even when I have gone through one of them with, like, Damien, they weren't that bad, but still, you know, just for safety's sake, you know, hands above the table policy, no touching yourselves. This is for the feel-good, happy, heart love feelings, not the bow chicka bow wow feelings.
I think that should be everything. All right. Phew, that took a while.
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes.
You forgot
Diana.
something.
Huh? What did I forget?
You forgot about the disclaimer.
Oh, crap! Oh, how could I have forgotten about that?
It's fine, I'll take care of it. This game was produced by Michaela Laws using the Ren'Py visual novel engine. We truly hope you enjoy this story.
Just so you know, the voice of Diana is Michaela Laws, so, you know, it's kind of funny because she's the one telling us that she made it, in a way, you know? So.
Thanks, Diana. Now, don't you have a war to go fight?
Speaking, I like her outfit. I think it's cool.
I do. I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before the story began. I'll take my leave now.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me Di.
Anyway, we really do hope you like the story. Have fun. See you at the end.
All right.
This has gone on for long enough. I will not let them trap me in a corner like this.
What? Why did I get an achievement?
Azira!
Who's Azira?
Husband.
Oh, is that
You're
waifu?
still here. Why have you not left like the others?
What do you want?
Do you honor our marriage?
No.
I don't know. Did you honor our bond when you slept with that whore?
She's got a point. I don't know who Azera is, but the Demon Lord has been banging people. Damien is a bastard son, so that's who this wife is talking about.
I said, do you honor our marriage?
No.
I do honor it, unlike you.
Then you still stand by our bond?
This guy's a dick.
Why are you asking me these questions?
Yeah.
Because I need your energy.
Wow! Just cutting right to the chase. Just like, we need to fuck.
What? What do you?
I'm giving you your physical form back. You should be thankful.
Oh, what? Okay, so she wasn't even in a physical form. He, like, took it from her. That's terrible. I wouldn't abide by that. Well, I'd say I would abide by it, and then once I got my physical form, I would get the fuck out of town.
What? What are you?
Ah! Okay, now I feel really bad. I could only stare at what was in front of me. I could hardly believe it was real, but it was there, right before my eyes. How had life even gotten to this point? As I gripped the pen in my hand, I let my mind settle into the situation. My fingers gently slid over the pen's surface, nervous and softly shaking. This was happening.
Hey, is everything okay?
What? What is happening? Is she, like, writing? Is she, like, writing a story? Look, it's Babyface! So he's got this, like, super edgy t-shirt and a super rad jacket. And that we are in the mansion, my grandfather's mansion that he left for me. You know, now that I'm looking at it closely, it looks like some of these aren't drawn. Some of these are like 3D modeling sort of things. And then, but obviously Matthew's drawn. That's funny. I glanced up to see Matthew looking at me with worry. I could only shake my head and smile before finally signing my name on the paper in front of me. What? What's your name? Oh, Estrella, obviously. Looking at my own name made me somewhat giddy, especially since it was next to Matthew's. Oh, it's a marriage license. How about you want to bet? So, what do you think? Matthew looked over and gently rotated the paper on the table to look at what I had written.
Thank you for coming to our wedding.
Yeah, we're totally getting married. We're getting hitched. What's wrong?
Nothing. It's just really cool to see our names together.
Aw, you're sweet. I felt the blush run across my cheeks. Was he thinking the same thing I was? Looking at our names together made me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. Looking at Matthew, he was grinning ear to ear, which made me do the same. His smile was practically infectious.
Anyways, we are very happy you could all attend. It means so much to us that you support our step forward, and we hope you enjoy the reception. That sounds good, right?
Whoever voiced this is... I like his voice. He's got a good voice. Yeah, that sounds great. Wedding preparations were nothing like I expected. I had organized parties before, but my own wedding had become a new foreign adventure for me to figure out with Matthew. Invitations, budgets, the dress, the ceremony venue, the reception hall, it was all crazy. Side note, I just went to my father's wedding and I was a part of it. Oh my goodness, you could not believe all the things that go into a wedding. Like, the dress is just like the beginning. My stepmom had that like months in advance, and she was still like, you know, just cutting it down to like the very last weekends to do everything. I mean, it was brunches and like food planning and decorations and color choices and cake and oh my God, it was so much. I was like, I don't know how you're doing all this. I really don't. So, yeah. Still, I was glad to know that I was able to do this to be with Matthew. He seemed as excited about this as I was. Yeah, that's the problem with weddings. As soon as you see one, you just want to get married. Or at least that's how it was with me. I've been to like two marriages now this past summer, and each one I cried, and each one I was like, oh, I want to marry Kaiser now. But we'll see. There is something missing, however. Hey, Matthew?
Huh? What is it?
Do you think your mom would approve of this? The curiosity of the idea had been eating at me ever since he proposed to me. I knew he wasn't a fan of his father, but his mother was a different story. According to him, she had always been supportive of him right up until he left. Matthew rubbed his head, staring at the table in thought.
Well, I don't know. I think she'd be surprised I'm marrying a human. But I think she'd be okay with it in the end. She is my mother, after all.
Oh, I see where this plot is going. We get introduced off the bat to Mother Dearest being given physical form, and I'm sure she's going to want her babyface back. And I will be like, sorry, mother-in-law, we're married, or we're about to be married. So, peace. Matthew only smiled and shrugged. I knew it was a bit out of left field to ask, but I was curious. I wish his mother could be able to attend the wedding, but I knew that would never be an option. What? Oh, that must be his demon name. Zekeru. I like that. Huh? My thoughts instantly derailed as I caught a ghostly whisper that seemed to reverberate in the air. I couldn't pin down the location, but I knew that I had heard something.
Huh? What is it?
You didn't hear that?
Hear what?
I looked at Matthew in surprise. He didn't hear the whisper. It had spoken his true name. I shook my head and rubbed my temples. Maybe I was just imagining things. Famous last word, girl. Famous last words. You gonna die now. Tasukete, Sekeru-chan. Okay, maybe chan is the wrong word. Sekeru-kun, tasukete kudasai. There it was again. I stood up from my seat and looked around, trying to figure out where that voice was coming from. Who's there?
Whoa, whoa. What's wrong?
Babe's like, my wife's going, or my future wife is going crazy. I looked at Matthew. How could he not hear it? I wasn't crazy. You're pretty crazy. Shake it off. Someone's saying your name. Well, choices. Choices have begun. God, I feel like I should like, how many of these do I have? Okay, so like, oh my God, they go on forever. Okay, well, in that case, I'll just keep it this way. Oh, I saved it twice. That's fine. I'll just overwrite it next time. Well, like my policy, open, honest relationships, all right? That's how to keep your partner appreciative and loving, okay? Because being a good person and a good friend is paramount in a relationship, and that generally means being honest. So, someone saying your name, bro. Matthew raised an eyebrow, unsure of what I meant. Why didn't he get it? What was so hard to understand?
But I don't hear anything.
I know I'm not making sense, but someone keeps saying your real name.
My real name? Zekeru?
Yeah, she keeps saying it and help me. Matthew slowly rose from his seat, looking down at the table in confusion and worry. I could tell he believed me, but wasn't sure how to respond. Are you sure you couldn't hear it?
I'm sure.
Matthew looked up at me and walked around the table to stand next to me, and I turned my body to face him. He looked into my eyes and gently brought his hand to my cheeks.
Does she sound like anyone we know?
No. I stared as Matthew continued to look into my eyes. What was he looking for? Eventually, Matthew leaned in and placed a soft kiss on my forehead. What?
I'll look into it, okay? For right now, don't worry about it and ignore it. It might be an illusion or something. This place is so full of magic, so it could be that.
He does have a point. I mean, Grandpa was, like, apparently a super awesome, super powerful, like, human mage. So, you know, I'm sure this house is just brimming with magic. I could tell Matthew was worried. He wasn't making sense. However, I knew that we had a lot on our minds, so this was something that needed to wait. Maybe he just wanted me to not worry. Still, I couldn't help but be worried about it. Matthew gently released me and gave me one of his goofy smiles.
Alright, well, I think that's enough work for today. Let's save the rest for tomorrow, okay?
No, we can't, okay? The wedding is in a couple days. The whole thing's gonna explode if I don't work on it right frickin' now. I nodded. Today had been pretty stressful, so rest would definitely be good. And you know what we can do when we rest? We can do the do. We can have the sex. Matthew led me back up to our room, and I got ready for bed. I, however, watched as Matthew absently ruffled his hair. Despite his kid-like demeanor, he was still a man. Oh, he's still a man. And he was the one I was going to marry. Hey, if he looks youthful now, in 60 years, he's going to look like he's like 30. Score, right? What was even better about our love was that we both loved every part of each other. I couldn't stop gushing over his eyes, his fluffy hair, his kisses. He drove me crazy as he made me smile every single day I spent with him. Well, that's sweet. That's good. Actually, what's funny is that Matthew kind of reminds me of my own boyfriend, at least in appearance. The dark hair, blue eyes. I mean, his attire doesn't match, but, you know, the physical traits. It didn't help that he was also so sexy underneath that baggy clothes he wore. No one was privileged enough to see him bare, and I was a lucky woman given that permission. Oh, yeah. Male physique is awesome. Simple ruffle of his hair was enough to catch my attention, and I stared at him. I really loved him. Well, he's also still a demon, so he's like, I think all demons are like naturally attractive in this universe. A small fire burned in my core, letting me know of my sexual attraction to him, but I wasn't sure whether or not to go with my gut or just sleep. Yeah. So I saved this for my own self. Yes. So that I can go back and read it if I so desire. But we're gonna sleep for the sake of, well, what we'll do is no, we'll just sleep. We'll sleep. We'll be good. We'll be good children. We'll be good waifus. I shook my head. I truly wasn't in the mood to do anything but sleep tonight. My body definitely agreed. Yawning, I began to strip and get into my pajamas. Matthew did the same and turned to me with a smile.
Well, ready to sleep?
Okay, in long relationships, no one does that. It's like you're already like in bed and you're like cuddling and like joking around, and then it's like, well, I'm really tired, and they're like, yeah, me too. And then you just sleep. I couldn't help but giggle and nod. Matthew was just so darn cute sometimes. He grinned at me before jumping into bed and getting comfy, and I did the same. I'm just imagining him like literally jumping into bed. Like just like hopping like a rabbit. Like the bed breaks and it's just a disaster. I, however, cuddled up to Matthew's chest, wanting him to hold me as we slept. He chuckled softly before wrapping his arms around me and holding me to his body. Hey, this way he can get energy from me. With a kiss on my head, Matthew bid me good night as I let sleep take over my mind. Oh, right, since he's like a demon, he probably doesn't sleep. Probably not. The darkness was meant to be peaceful. Sleep was meant to be relaxing. However, my mind began to wander to what had happened earlier that evening. Hearing that voice made me worried. Something was off. Something was going on, and I was the only one who could sense it. Why? I let the darkness seep into my mind a little longer, unsure of what to think of it. Oh, she's in chains. She's totally in chains. What the? Oh, baby. Oh, demon world. Yeah, this is like the demon hall room. I opened my eyes and found myself no longer in my bed, but on a stone-cold floor staring at a high marble ceiling. Despite feeling foreign textures beneath my skin, I vaguely knew where I was. I was in the main hall of the Demon Lord's castle. I remember the sight from the vision the boys gave me when Diana first appeared. Why was I here, though? Where? Oh no! My instincts forced me to turn to the sound and I saw someone I did not expect. Diana? Oh shit, what? Fam? Held in the air was Diana, hanging from 4 long lines of chains that were attached to her wrists and ankles. She was spread out like a star and the chains were pulling her body in different directions, seemingly ready to rip her in half. What? No, Diana! No, this is terrible! My mind couldn't fathom why she was in this illusion if this was one. She looked so different, but I could tell it was her. Why is she in chains?
Release me!
No, baby.
Oh, I will.
What? Nandeska? Matthews? What? Oh god, Oh, Babe's got... In the demon realm, he obviously is going to be wearing his human clothes. Of course. Gotta stay in fashion. Fashion demon. But he's got those glowing yellow eyes. Matthew's voice reverberated with a cold demonic resonance, and it drew my eyes toward him in shock. There he was, sitting on the throne, practically lounging on it. He was still in his human form, but his eyes were glowing in a naturally gold color. What was even more odd that he was smirking at Diana. I had never seen him smirk like that, like he was enjoying seeing someone's pain.
I'll kill you once I'm bored of this game. Your struggle is just so much fun to watch.
Babe cakes, you're worrying me.
You think this is funny, brat?
Diana, I love you, Diana. I don't. Matthew glared as the chains pulled harder on Diana's limbs. I flinched from the sound of her body stretching, almost hearing the sounds of bones cracking. Diana, however, sneered at Matthew in reply. Damn, well, yeah, trigger warning of torture. Yeah, I was accurate.
You really think calling me a brat is going to help you?
Well, that's what you are. A brat who abuses his toys until they break.
I mean, obviously that's true right now. I can only stare at the two, completely confused by what I was witnessing. I tried to speak out, but suddenly my voice disappeared before any sound could be formed in my throat. Gripping my neck, I looked down, trying to figure why I couldn't speak. There was some sort of vice pressed through my vocal cords. Oh, God! Not allowing me to mutter even a single sound. Its weight almost made me choke. Oh my God! So she's like wearing like some like crazy collar. However, I looked back as Matthew gave a sickly, evil chuckle.
That's right. I like to play with my toys until they're of no use to me. That's how toys work.
Well, shit, Matthew. I'm supposedly marrying you? I regret everything. I regret my decision. Matthew stood up slowly from the throne, and his lips curled into a devilish smile as his tongue ran along his upper lip.
And when I'm done with them, I destroy them.
I mean, at this point, that might be more merciful.
And what of the human? Is she just another toy?
Yeah, really. At least she knows I'm here. Diana is smart. Diana loves me. I looked at Diana, seeing her move her head to look at me before turning back to Matthew in realization. I was physically there. I wasn't just watching the event, I was part of it. Matthew looked back at me, and his face shifted into an innocent smile. My heart desperately clung to the possibility that he wasn't as evil as he was presenting himself to be. His smile pulled at my heartstrings, giving me hope that he was just playing some sort of sick joke.
She's not just a toy.
Oh shit! My heart dropped in my chest. My heart dropped in my chest. Matthew tilted his head cutely, giving me a disgusting feeling of adoration and fear from the sight. Never had imagined feeling like this while looking at the one I loved, yet here I was.
She's my favorite toy. I can't break the toy that I have the most fun with. Especially when that toy gives me so much energy.
Uh-huh. Oh. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. Like a predator, Matthew began to walk towards me, passing underneath Diana's hanging form. I couldn't move as he knelt down and cupped his hand around my chin.
I'll keep you with me forever and ever.
Fear seared my nerves. I did not want to be near this man. This wasn't Matthew. It couldn't be. There was no way. As he stood up, I felt tears run down my face. If this was a nightmare, I wanted to wake up. Please. Matthew's hand pointed at the throne and glided through the air back to me. The sound of chains echoed through the room, forcing me to follow it and see a chain flying at me. Oh God, what? I tried to scream as it leaped toward my throat. From thin air, a shackle collar formed around my neck, connecting to the chain as it reached me, and I was pulled forward roughly through the air before landing beside the throne with a painful thud.
No!
What? Why would Diana be defending me? Diana screamed as a large cage suddenly formed around my body, making me its prisoner. I scrambled to my knees and gripped the bars surrounding me, now frightened beyond compare. Matthew let out a terrifying laugh, sending more waves of fright through my body. This wasn't happening.
This world is mine. No one can stand in my way. Not James, not the Demon Lord, and not you, Diana.
Well, shit. Smirking widely, Matthew looked at Diana, raising his arm across his body.
And I've grown tired of
Oh no, he's gonna kill Diana! Before Matthew could move, my fear and anger quickly bubbled in my chest, one word pushing past the blockage in my throat. Stop! As my voice ripped through the air, everything went black. Okay, so in Damien's and in Diana's routes, these dreams are premonitions of the future. So if I fuck up, that's what's gonna happen to me. And Diana. Now I'm kind of glad that I did Diana's route because it's like, you know, I care about her, so like, yeah. As my voice ripped through the air, everything went black. My body, however, sat up in bed in shock at what I had seen. My scream reverberated through the room as I let it sink in that I was awake and all that had just been a nightmare. Despite it feeling real, I was no longer in a cage. I wasn't in a room with Diana being ripped apart. I wasn't...
Ah! What?
Darn. I was hoping it'd be boxers. What? I shot my head to the side to see Matthew in bed with me, sitting up beside me and rubbing his head. Heavy tiredness weighed down on the eyelids over his frightened eyes, but my mind suddenly began to seize in fear just from looking at him. My mind shouted that it had just been a nightmare, but my body couldn't help but remember what Matthew had done to me in that dream. It may have been fake, but I couldn't stop the fright from washing over my nerves. Tears formed in my eyes as I looked at Matthew. I wanted to know that everything was fine, that I really was more than just a toy for him, but my voice wouldn't let me speak without bawling. Poor guy, he's probably just like waking up and he's like, holy shit, you know, like, I just wake up and she's like crying. I'm like, cuddles? Is that the solution? I don't know. Matthew quickly rubbed his eyes and stared at me, his concern obviously deepening at seeing me in tears. He slowly raised his hand to embrace me, but I flinched away, causing him to freeze in place. Oh, he's like, I mean, most people who play this game probably would have gone with like the sex scene. So it's like literally a couple hours ago we were making love, and now now you're scared of me.
Whoa, it's okay. It's alright. It's just me.
Matthew's voice tried to warm over my fear, but my feelings were still conflicted, despite my brain knowing better. He continued to stare at me, waiting for me to relax. I could only meet his gaze warily with both fear and sadness.
Hey, I'm gonna hug you, okay? That's all.
My heart wanted to believe him. I had to. He couldn't be as sadistic as my nightmare had depicted him. I nodded, and Matthew slowly began to wrap his arms around me, hugging me to his chest.
There we go. It's okay.
I began to melt into Matthew's arms, finally feeling the fear disappear from my body. I pressed my face into his shoulder, shaking in remorse as the panic drained away. I'm sorry. Matthew simply rocked me in his arms and nuzzled the side of my face with his. He occasionally planted a kiss over my cheek and shoulder, reminding me of his love and that everything was okay. His breath became a tempo for me to follow, letting me relax and feel his love all around me.
Bad dream, huh?
Yeah, that's like not even the beginning of it. Yeah. Matthew gave me a soft squeeze, snuggling up to me, and I gratefully snuggled back. He would never hurt me. I couldn't let myself be this affected by a nightmare. Hopefully he wouldn't ask about it. Oh, he's totally gonna ask about it.
Hey, whatever the dream was, just know that everything will be alright, okay? It was just a stupid nightmare. Whenever you wake up, I'll be right here beside you, ready to make it go away.
Like you would for your mother. The way he sounded so confident made my heart flutter in my chest. He truly cared for me, and that was something I adored about him. He loved me, and I loved him in return just as much. I nodded and nuzzled his shoulder, warming into his embrace further. Matthew smiled and kissed the top of my head. I closed my eyes. He gently laid us back down onto the mattress and helped me shift to lie against him, making his chest my pillow. I don't know how you keep bloods flowing. I mean, try to lay down on your arm, and it's just like you wake up like an hour later, and your arm's just like fucking dead. It's just like you can't even lift it up. It's so deprived of oxygen. Thankfully, the nightmare didn't return that night. I was left with a warm embrace and a peaceful slumber until morning rose. Even in the days that followed, the nightmare didn't come back. So do we actually get married? Neither did the mysterious voice. Oh, suspicious. My week became peaceful, final details for the wedding becoming our only focus. I was nervous for it, and soon the day of the wedding had snuck up on me. I was in my room staring at myself in my wedding dress. Oh shit. That's a bad sign. It's like, right, as every it's like, okay, we're getting married, it's happening, shit's gonna hit the fan. It's totally gonna hit the fan. Excuse me. I could hardly believe it. I was getting married. My family and the guests were all at the church waiting for me to march in, but I was so nervous I hadn't left the mansion yet. It was only a 3-minute drive away, so it wasn't like in a terrible rush, but like I should probably go. Looking at the digital clock in my room, I marked the time. 30 more minutes. I let out a sigh. I'd asked my friends to allow me to get ready on my own, so I was alone in the mansion. Yet, even while I was alone, the anxiousness of the wedding made me nervous. Why? Was I just that excited? Or was it the nightmare? It's a fucking nightmare. Running hand over my dress, my fingers traced over the seams and intricacies of the design. It was indeed my dream wedding dress, down to the last detail. My parents fronted the bill as congratulations, which still made me laugh. How they had ever come to accept Matthew was a mystery to me, especially when he was incredibly vague about who he was. I blamed his incubus magic. I would too. What the fuck? Before I wander further into my nostalgic memories, I hear my phone ring, ushering for me to quickly answer. Hello?
Hey, Lucky Bride. We have a little bit of a problem.
I remember Naomi. She was also one of the routes. Hello? My mind quickly froze. A problem? What could possibly be wrong? Not today. Not on my wedding. No.
Now you're scaring her, Naomi.
Hi, Carrie.
I don't mean to. Just tell her about the rings.
Oh, shit. Huh? The rings? What about the rings?
Well, apparently Matthew forgot to bring them. He knows where they are, but you'll have to bring them with you when you come.
Matthew, you had one job. All you had to do was put on a suit and bring the rings. That was the beginning and the end of your job. You failed. You failed me. I let out a small sigh. It wasn't a big problem. Thank goodness. It was something that had an easy solution. Oh, okay, that's fine. Where did he put them?
Well, he said he put the rings in his dresser drawer. He said it was so Simon couldn't get them.
Yeah, his bunny rabbit. Really? I rolled my eyes. Simon wasn't that bad. Besides, he was a doll. Sure, he was a doll that could move and stuff, but he wasn't evil, just a bit mischievous. All right, I'll bring it over. Meet me at the front of the church and I'll hand them over before the wedding starts.
Got it. See you soon.
See you soon, babes. I hang up and smiled. At least the issue wasn't something outrageous. That would have been mortifying. Foreshadowing anyone? Quickly, I rushed over the dresser and opened the drawer, expecting to see the ring box plain sight. It's not going to be there. What the? When I looked inside, I found nothing except clothes. I opened each drawer of the dresser, checking each nook and cranny while moving the clothes around to find the box. Nothing. Simon! I looked up and glanced around the bedroom, unsure why Simon was laughing. Was he really wanting to play a game right now? Damn it, Simon. I hiked up my dress and began to search the halls of the mansion, determined to find Simon. He had to have the rings, and I was in no mood to play around. Simon's totally gonna get, like, sent to the demon world with me, or, like, something crazy like that. Like, Demon Lord's up to something, and, I mean, Demon War is the name of the title, so shit's gotta go down soon. Simon, give me those rings! He couldn't have gone far. I decided to check this floor before going downstairs. Oh, come on. Alrighty, guys. Where do you want to go first? Let's go to the library. I'm looking around the library and Simon was nowhere in sight. I grumbled to myself. Where the hell can that thing be? Don't call it a thing. Call him Simon. I sighed before leaving the library, walking towards the other room. Just so you guys can see. Look how pretty the library is. It's a very nice house. Alright, so we've gone there. Okay, we're in the library. Why would library still be a choice? Bathroom. Pretty nice bathroom. Look at how big that bathtub is. I want it. I stepped into the bathroom, looking around and hoping to find the fur ball somewhere with the ring box. Alas, he didn't seem to be anywhere in sight. What the hell? I grumbled to myself before turning to leave. However, my eyes locked onto the bathroom mirror, seeing something that made my heart freeze up. Oh shit. Around my neck was a large tattoo-like mark resembling a blue chain. I was almost glowing over my skin, and the nightmare suddenly rose into my thoughts, reminding me of the fear I had felt. Staring at it, my body began to tremble as the mark seemed to snake around my neck, moving like a shadow. For a moment, I thought the mark would tighten against my neck for simply watching it circle over my skin. Yeah, mirrors are bad news, girl. Get out. Get out of there. I brought my neck to my throat, trying to cover it. I didn't want to see it. It had been an illusion, right? I was imagining it. I hesitantly removed my hands from my neck and sighed in relief to no longer see the chain mark. I was freaking out over nothing. I rubbed my eyes gently, relieved. Jeez, I'm getting worked up over... However, as soon as I looked back at the mirror, around my neck was a blue collar. I reached to my neck and gasped as I physically felt the collar around my neck. Oh, fuck! Alright. More choices. Apparently the bathroom is just a bad place to be. Alright, so we have two choices. Freak the fuck out and be like, get it off me! Get it off! Or I could close my eyes. I mean, speaking realistically here, I'd probably freak out and be like, get it off, get it off. But for now, we're just gonna like, if I can't see you, you can't see me. So I'm gonna close my eyes. I closed my eyes. This was a mistake. This had to be a dream. I was dreaming. I need to wake up immediately so I could find the rings and get married. Please let this be a dream. I opened my eyes. I locked my eyes onto the collar that was still around my neck. My mind began to launch into a frenzy. Why was it there? At that moment, a word came into my mind. I wasn't sure how it got there or why I thought of the word, but it appeared in my thoughts as if it was exactly what I was thinking about. My fingers began to tingle slightly as it resonated in my mind. As I opened my mouth and let it fly from my tongue, I felt my body slightly warm in reply. Salvo. The collar, somehow responding to what I had said, began to quiver around my neck before fading into a black mist and disappearing into the air. What? 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 Okay, I instinctively sighed in relief. It was off. Thank God. I rubbed my neck, gratefully feeling only my skin and silently appreciating the sensation of my fingers running around over my bare neck. The fuck? I mean, okay, so in the first game, she totally has magical abilities, like, and she's actually pretty good at it. So maybe, I don't know. I guess it might have been a spell or something.
I knew it. I knew it. That girl has demon magic.
Oh no. What the?
Then quit talking and let's take her!
Oh shit.
The demon lord will be so pleased.
Oh fuck. Who? Before I could turn and search for the voices, I felt a hand grab hold of my feet, and I looked down and lifted my dress. 2 pairs of evil-looking hands had taken hold of my ankles, reaching through a dark red and purple pentagram. Oh no! I shrieked, trying to pull my legs away, but could stop them as they swiftly pulled me into the ground. Oh shit! This is like Alice in Wonderland. I was pulled deeper into the darkness. I was no longer in my room. I was being dragged through a dark void, one that I couldn't escape. Oh shit, man. Oh shit, fam. I reached out and clawed at the dark, trying to find something to grab onto. I tried to pull my legs away from the hands that were holding them, but couldn't pull free. What was going on? Why was this happening? Someone help me. Darimo, tasukete! As if someone had heard my screams, I suddenly felt the hands let go and disappear, leaving me to float in the darkness they left me in. Oh shit, man. I shut my eyes. Please let this be a dream. Please let this be a dream. I finally felt the surface under my feet and collapsed onto it, my body curling in on itself from the experience I had. I didn't dare tear my eyes away from my lap, not ready to get up just yet. The voice I heard, however, made my heart stop.
You! What are you doing here?
Diana, babe! I looked up, finally having the courage to take in my surroundings. My heart stopped from beating for a moment, seizing in my chest. And... hey! Alright, so we know Sergeant, Diana, Faye, Shadow, and Bunny. Or, sorry, Rabbit. I like calling her Mercy, because, I mean, she looks like Mercy, come on. She's got a staff, she's got blonde hair. She's basically Mercy. And then, just so you know, Faye is a they, so don't use she or he pronouns. We're gonna be accepting up in this bitch. Alright. Also, Shadow is my current crush because of his long, dark hair. I looked up to see 5 figures, strangers, monsters, beings that I didn't recognize. They all looked down at me in surprise, as if I had dropped in at a very bad time. Yeah, I'd say. Probably on a war council. One man looked like an orc from a fantasy game without the tusks. Meta. He had broken horns and a very frightening aura around him as he stared at me. The other male was lanky in comparison, more human-like, but I could almost feel power emanating from him regardless. I think he's an assassin. One of the women who was staring at me had rabbit ears. Rabbit ears. They seemed to twitch on top of her head as she looked at me and gripped her staff. She seemed harmless, yet she had animal ears. The one creature I couldn't discern the sex of seemed more excited to see me than surprised. What freaked me out about them was that they had wings sticking out of their back. They were floating. The last woman, however, set off alarm bells in my head as I looked at her surprised face. Her hair, her eyes. Diana? Babes! As she stared, the woman turned her body towards me in recognition to the name I called her. It was her.
What are you doing here?
Hey, I didn't do it. Diana walked towards me and stared down at me. It was odd. She didn't look like a human, yet I wasn't afraid of her demon form as it towered over me. I was in more shock as to what was going on. Before Diana could speak further, most likely to repeat herself, a figure quickly stepped in and bowed to her, kneeling beside me.
My lady, please forgive me. I felt something moving between our worlds and assumed the Demon Lord was to blame, so I intercepted his summoning of this human.
You. So I wasn't the only one who felt the change in the air.
Yeah. Diana stared at me, kneeling beside me as I kept my eyes at her. As she turned her gaze back to me, I gulped silently. What was she gonna do with me? Yeah, because, like, you know, in this route, I mean, Diana is just this, like, evil witch who just took all my magic and, like, she took all my magic. She, like, tried to steal my husbando. I mean, she's a bitch. But, I mean, it's because I didn't know the reasons. This all felt wrong. I was about to be married. I was about to live my happily ever after with the man I loved. Now I was in a place I didn't know with Diana and a bunch of creatures I didn't recognize. My instinct was to... Alrighty, a choice. Let's see. I could stay still, I could attack, I could scream, I could cry. Okay, I don't want to cry. That's just... I mean, I guess if I'm with Matthew, it makes sense to cry. I'm not gonna scream. I'm not gonna attack. Why would I attack a demon in her own realm? That just sounds stupid. Stay still. I think I'm actually gonna cry. I didn't want to cry, but staying still sounds lame, so... This wasn't happening. This couldn't have been happening. No way! I felt tears build up my eyes and I lowered them to look at the floor in front of me. As my gaze fell, My lungs began to seize hard, forcing me to hiccup in sadness. Oh, poor Diana. She's like, oh shit. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to. I couldn't help it. I began to cry profusely. Why was this happening? Why was I here? If this was another nightmare, I wanted to wake up immediately. This wasn't right. I covered my face and cried into my hands, curling over myself as I let sadness run through my entire body. Please let me wake up. Please. Okay, I feel... Oh, man. I'm playing the damsel in distress role perfectly. This is exactly how it was meant to be. I'm getting like a million text messages. I wish it would stop. Stop! Okay. As I felt warmth suddenly spread through my body, I slowly stopped and felt fresh air rush into my lungs. What was happening? I recognized this warmth. Oh, Diana's like helping. I looked up to see Diana kneeling down with a very concerned look on her face. Her visible eye glowing a warm gold color, she stared at me. Was she enthralling me? I didn't feel aroused, like I felt usually whenever I was enthralled, but I felt calm and almost mellow.
Calm down.
Yeah, she's enthralling me. Diana's voice seemed almost soothing, like a lullaby. However, I wasn't sleepy. I just felt quiet. The worry I had in my mind was gone. The sadness, gone. Diana must have done something to make sure I wouldn't cry. I don't know whether to thank her or be afraid.
Now, can you tell me what happened? Take your time and try to remember everything.
Succubus, we have no time for... Shh!
Let her do her thing! The human obviously knows her, and she obviously needs help. Poor thing.
I think that was Faye.
Why did she call her Diana, though?
That's Rabbit.
That must have been the human name she used while she was in the human world. Smart.
All of you, please!
Silence engulfed the room as Diana looked at the four beings behind her. She then turned back to me and held out her hand, ushering me to take it.
Stand.
I looked around at the other beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure of what I would do or say. Diana, however, led the conversation.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
I took a breath, recounting everything that happened. I was about to go to the church to be married, and then... I was attacked by this darkness. A couple hands grabbed my legs and pulled me into it, and then I fell here.
A shadow summoning.
Diana turned to one of the beings, a lanky male, and glared.
One of yours couldn't have.
On my honor, it wasn't any of mine. We have nothing to gain from kidnapping a human. Nor do we know who this woman is, anyhow.
My lady, if I may, I clearly remember hearing imp demons in the void along with her. It must have been the Demon Lord's henchmen.
Those terrible creatures. That explains it.
Why does he want me, though? Diana crossed her arms and looked at me again.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side. Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
Yeah, I agree. A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? I would have died?
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Yeah, I'm gonna marry one of them.
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them, as you can see from her garb.
As Diana motioned towards my dress, I realized how vulnerable I was and felt extremely self-conscious. I wrapped my arms around myself as Diana let out a sigh.
Well, since you do not belong here, the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
Oh, that would be great. I mean, we have a whole game to go, so I highly doubt that's going to happen, but, that would be great if it would. I couldn't help but stare wide-eyed at Diana. Was she really going to send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. Will you really send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Like, what about time, though? Wait, like I had never left the human world? Oh, shit! Oh, right! She didn't think she actually, left the human world. That's hilarious. I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious. You're around all these creatures. Obviously, you're in the demon world. What do you mean by left the human world? Diana stared before chuckling softly and gesturing to the room and beings within it.
Dear, do you not realize where you are? You are in the demon world.
Yep, happy to be here. It's pretty cool here. Chill. Got some cool creatures. I'm digging it. I'm in it. My mind went blank. It couldn't be. I couldn't be in the demon world. No way. No way in hell. It's not hell, okay? It's the demon world. Get it right. There's a difference. I felt myself back up against the wall behind me, suddenly afraid. I was in another world? How? That was impossible. Diana stepped towards me, both her hands softly trying to show me she meant no harm as she positioned them in front of her body.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
She must feel really guilty towards me or something.
How will you power the spell? Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
Well, shit.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We can organize the siege another time when I fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
You'd waste time and energy on this human. We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
Yeah, but she owes me.
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Exactly.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
With a nod, the lanky man held out his hand towards the wall. I looked over in the direction it was aimed at. Diana's shadow? I watched as Diana's shadow simply stood against the wall, mirroring the movements of the real succubus in the room. Before my eyes, the shadow began to morph and expand on the wall on its own. Oh, I see, because his name is Shadow, and she was like, a shadow summoning, and she like glared at him, so like this is like the magic that his kind has. I looked back to Diana to see her wrapping her arms around herself and curling her shoulders over as if she was in pain. Her nails embed themselves into her forearms, and I could barely make out a painful hiss escaping her clenched teeth. Oh, babes. Was the spell hurting her that badly? I turned back to the wall to see Diana's shadow shaking and vibrating as if it was resisting the change the man was forcing on it.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void, and allow passage to the world we seek.
What a simple spell.
Transitum Prt1 Prt1 ubi aperiunt, Ianoio, Perceptio.
Ooh. Upon Diana's final word, her shadow burst and expanded into an oval-shaped doorway. I stared wide-eyed at the passage before a hand placed itself on my shoulder, forcing me to look over. The one with the spear gently pressed my shoulder forward and looked down at me with almost a stern face.
You must leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
Go! Go! Go get married!
Do you even know what that means, Faye? I quickly nodded and lifted the bottom of her dress, stepping forward to make a run for the passageway. However, before I could bolt towards my freedom, a snarl echoed through the room.
How dare you interfere with my summoning!
He's such a brat. Oh, shit! At that very moment, Diana began to scream, arching her spine and throwing her head back. Around her body were red-tinted bolts of lightning, flashing and shocking her form.
No! Human! Use the passage! Now!
Okay, I'm going. He didn't have to tell me twice. I bolted towards the portal, diving forward as I neared it, but I was forced back by a burst of energy and a flash of red light. I fell to the floor, almost slamming my head onto the stone. That would have been bad.
Human will never, ever leave this world alive!
Well, shit.
You spineless worm!
Close the portal! The Demon Lord might get through!
But the human...
Close it!
As commanded, the man pulled back his hand, visually forcing his arm back behind his body, and Diana's shadow quickly began to morph back into a simple shadow. The electricity around Diana faded away, and she began to tip forward. The man with the spear dropped his weapon and caught Diana in his arms, cradling her to his body as she panted and gasped for air.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
Well, that's good, Rabbit.
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
How is she, guard?
Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of a magical attack. Oh my god. Her visible eye was shut tight as she dug her figure into the guard's jacket, clinging to him. Yeah, I'm sure since without my interference, they're intimate. Makes me sad, because I want her to be mine. As her eye opened, it was not a blood ruby color, but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her irises. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, and I could see hunger in her facial expression. But she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
The man swiftly moved and hooked an arm underneath Diana's knees, lifting her up bridal style as she clung to his jacket, shivering. The spear that had fallen to the floor onto the black and purple... Oh, what? Okay, the spear that had fallen to the floor faded into black and purple mist as he quickly left the room with her in his arms.
Man, bye Diana, I love you.
My mind, however, began to panic. I couldn't go home? Why was I being forced to stay? Damn the Demon Lord, this wasn't right.
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the Demon Lord could have been able to interfere.
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, terrified as to what was going on to happen. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded in my mind. How was I going to get home? Would I ever be able to go home? I looked up to see the winged person hovering near me before they moved and sat on their knees on the stone ground behind me.
We'll get you home, okay? Diana just needs a little rest, okay?
She needs more than rest. She needs to use a different spell to send her back. The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
How about the normal way? I'm sure we can connect to a witch, or even the warlock she used before, to reopen a portal to the human world.
The warlock she used to get to the human world died, remember? And he was the most powerful warlock in the human world. Practically a god himself.
Yeah,
What
that was
other
my
human
grandfather.
could be used to open a portal without another human dying?
It was merely a suggestion. The faster we get this human home, the faster we can move on and finish off the Demon Lord.
Well, what are we going to do with the human now?
We can give her a room to rest in. Humans need sleep after all. Maybe by the time she wakes up, we'll think of a solution.
Come.
The woman with rabbit ears looked down at me and lowered her hand to me, inviting me to take it. She had a kind but concerned expression on her face, so I trusted her. I slowly took her hand and began to stand up as the fairy figure brushed off the small patches of dust that had accumulated on my dress. Oh, thanks, Faye. I couldn't do anything. I was forced to listen to the beings around me because there was nothing else I could do. Without them, I couldn't get home. My heart ached, but I had to accept my predicament.
Here, I'll bring you to the open ambassador's room. You are free to rest there for now.
So, you know, I love Diana, so what about her? The floating person giggled softly as the woman with rabbit ears cleared her throat.
She'll be fine. She's being taken care of right now.
Why not just say she's getting
And the brute strikes again with the lack of tasteful filtering between his brain and his mouth. You still have yet to prove me wrong about my expectations of you.
Oh, Diana, why? Why? You should be with me instead. Okay, moving on. We're with Matthew.
Keep testing me, assassin. I'm not afraid to
He is an
rip spine
assassin.
out of your body and use it as a back scratcher.
That would be wholly unpleasant.
You can very well try, brute.
Ugh! Would you both knock it off?
Yeah.
Come, everything will be taken care of.
Thank you, Mercy. Before I could protest, the woman led me out of the room and into the hall. I kept my eyes down, trying to take in more of the situation I was in. I was trapped in the demon world, and Diana was out of commission. The Demon Lord had plans for me, but what exactly was he aiming for? Isn't that obvious? He wants to use you as bait, like Diana said. He wants to bring you back so that he forces one of the sons to come back and fight for him, because he's losing the war. I'm such a smart cookie. You know, because it was a totally, like, unobvious thing. I could have been bait. I could have been revenge. I didn't know, nor could I figure it out now. At least I was safe. At least I hoped I was safe. And I'm in the awesome room with Bunny, or with Mercy. Oh man, I love her cloak. Her dress is kind of plain, but the rest of her I love her outfit. The woman led me to a room that practically screamed medieval fantasy. Yeah. Everything was clean, but it still had that old age feel, as if no one had ever stepped foot in the room until that moment.
Rest here for now. When Diana is well again, we can discuss what to do.
Sounds good. Thanks. I nodded to the woman before she gently curtsied and left, closing the door behind her. I took a moment to observe my surroundings, interested in understanding the aesthetic. This was fantasy turned into reality. It was like I had gone back in time. Why, though? Why was the demon world really that behind in the times? Or did magic supersede technology, and this was the result? I think you just answered your own question. Despite the situation I was in, which was beyond heartbreaking and terrible, my curiosity began to fester in my mind, as if I was given a golden opportunity to learn something new. However, my thoughts began to drift, and I felt myself becoming weak and dizzy, no doubt from the shock and the trauma I had gone through. I stumbled toward the bed, needing to sit down and let everything settle in without passing out. As my rear hit the mattress, however, I let out a small pleasured sigh. Holy crap, this is a comfy mattress. I felt myself fall back, and my entire body simply melted into the softness beneath my body. It was like I was sleeping on a cloud. Was that possible? Demon magic may have had something to do with it, but I was certain that I was drifting into an almost blissful sleep just by lying on the blankets and the mattress. Not caring that I was still in my dress, I closed my eyes and drifted to sleep. I needed the rest, and since Diana wouldn't be available for a while anyway. No. How sad. Darkness surrounded my mind, my dreams remaining silent and hushed in the cool and calm black. No nightmares appeared and no sounds were made. I was simply resting, and that was all my body needed. I let my thoughts wander in my subconsciousness, thinking about what was going to happen now. What will the boys do when they realize I'm gone? What will he do? I imagined finding a way through to the demon world, him finding a way through to the demon world and pulling me back to where I belonged, wrapping me in his arms and swearing never to let me go. I would be relieved, and we would be married just as planned. How unrealistic was that? Like, pretty unrealistic, not gonna lie. I had to be realistic now. I was stuck, and the only one who seemed to be able to send me back was Diana and her companions, whoever they were. I had to trust them, whether I liked it or not. Yeah, she's right. Eventually, I did rise from my sleep, somehow feeling fully refreshed and calm. How could that have been?
Did you have a good rest?
Yeah, did you? Quote-unquote, rest? I had turned my head to see Diana at the door, arms crossed and leaning against the door's archway. She had a look of concern and pure curiosity on her face as she awaited my answer. I am going to be a nice person. I'm going to be like, are you okay? Diana stared at me, slightly shocked. Did she not expect me to ask?
Huh. Well, yes, I'm fine now that I've had proper rest.
Yeah, quote-unquote rest. That's good. Diana shook her head and stepped into the room, closing the door behind her.
So we need to find another way to get you back to the human world. It won't be easy, but I believe it can be done by tonight at the latest.
Tonight? Really? Diana nodded and crossed her arms again, leaning on one hip.
It will take time to get our shadow agents to gather the necessary supplies, but they are not hard to obtain, being that we're in a position of power. You must be lucky.
Yeah, we are lucky. What do you mean? Let's look at this map. All right. I'm assuming that these 3 red are Demon Lord. The gray is probably being fought over. And purple is Diana's holdings. Diana sighed before casting a short spell under her breath. In front of me appeared a floating map, almost like a hologram. It showed an entire world with mountains, plains, and forests, and it was all surrounded by sea and water. Well, duh. Diana pointed at a marker that had a purple banner at its tip. It was marked in the center of some mountain and forest area. It was also at the very center of the map.
That is where we are currently, the center of the abyssal plains.
Diana then ran her in a circle around the marker, showing a perimeter around it.
Everything we need for the spell is within this area. It will just take time to gather the materials and prepare it.
Oh, good. I nodded, understanding the situation. I was going to hopefully be able to go home tonight, which was better than not going home at all. Yeah. So what should I do until then?
My suggestion? Stay in this room. I can mark this room as off limits so that no demon may enter that would confuse you for an intruder and kill you.
I mean, that would be the safe thing to do, but the boring thing to do. I gulped. I did not want to die. Yeah. As Diana made the magical map disappear, she shrugged.
However, I cannot stop you from whatever you wish to do. Just don't leave the castle.
Sounds good. I nodded as she turned to leave. As she stepped out, Diana looked back at me with a reassuring look.
We'll get you back to the human world. I promise you that.
Yay! Finally, she left me alone in the room. I let out a small sigh and looked up to the ceiling. I had to wait until tonight to actually do anything. What was I going to do? Part of me agreed with Diana's suggestion, wanting to stay in the room and be safe in case the guards didn't know who I was and kill me on sight. My curiosity, however, wouldn't leave me alone and wanted me to explore the castle. I was handed an opportunity to explore a castle within the demon world, and part of me did not want it to go to waste. I was torn on what to do. Well, no venture done, no knowledge gained. So we're going to explore this bitch. There was no way I was letting this chance pass me by. Of course. I stood and walked towards the door, opening a crack and looking around. There was no one in the hall, but there were 2 directions to go. Which way? Right or left? We're going to go left. I went left. I closed the door behind me as I exited my room and began to make my way down the left corridor. Everything was definitely medieval style, and I felt a bit small in the hall. I was like in a fairy tale, walking around in a wedding dress. It almost felt dreamlike. The passage seemed long, decorated with candles, paintings, and random curtains and flowers. It was mystical to see, and I smiled. As I approached another fork in the hall, however, I sighed. Really? How does anyone find their way around? I looked back, knowing I hadn't walked far from my room. I could turn back. Yet. So we turned left first. Let's just go all the way left. I was heading left anyway. Might as well make another left. Exactly. I turned left once more and headed down the hall, greeted by more fantastical decor. The sound of a heated battle caught my attention. I quickly rushed over to see a door barely opened a crack, and behind it echoed the sound of clashing swords. Oh! Hey, Diana. I peeked in to see Diana and the guard that was with her in an intense sword fight. Now that I could take a closer look, the man was extremely handsome and looked human, yet I could sense that he was very much a demon just from his presence alone. The man had the upper hand, but it was easy to tell that he was holding back slightly by letting Diana swing her sword again and again at him before attacking her and forcing her to defend. The look on Diana's face showed pure concentration and almost anger as her sword clashed with his. I had never seen Diana this intense before, so to see stress and determination written across her expression was a surprise. Why was she fighting with a sword, though? She had demon magic.
You're holding back! Enough!
Diana jumped back from the man, bringing her sword to her side as the man did the same in perfect sync. She growled before tossing the weapon to him, and he caught it by the hilt with ease.
I told you not to hold back. Didn't you hear me?
The man stared at Diana before gently bringing the swords together and making them vanish into a soft black mist. He began to walk towards her as she turned around and crossed her arms. Yeah, she's like, fuck you, dude.
You can't treat me as if you are training a child, Sarah. I need to be ready for whatever the Demon Lord throws my way, and you holding back is only a hindrance to me.
She's right.
I apologize, my lady.
Yeah, fucking...
Empty words.
It clicked. They were training. This man was her trainer and she was being treated like a novice. Why? Also, he did apologize. Why was she being so harsh about it? Because she's got the weight of the whole entire, world in her hands. Of course she's got to be ready. Maybe it was a mistake? Diana let out a sigh and walked to the balcony of the room, laying her hands on the railing and leaning over her arms.
As each day goes by, my kingdom, my army, and I are constantly at risk. If I cannot defend myself when my energy runs out, then how will I defend this kingdom?
You will be victorious.
I will be slaughtered because of your inability to train me properly.
Oh, shit.
You know why I cannot, and yet you still demand it of me. I cannot bring myself to even potentially harm you.
And that will lead to my death.
What? What was Sero talking about? Why couldn't he train her properly? Why was she so peeved about it? Couldn't she just get another trainer?
You will not die, my lady. I promise you that.
I cannot trust anyone who says that to me.
But you know that it's true. I will repeat my promise over and over to you until you accept it.
That promise comes out of a lie.
Oh, I'm guessing he's promising I love you forever, wah! And she's like, love doesn't exist. I've never felt love. Blah. I watched as Seto walked over to Diana and gently wrapped his arms around her from behind. She didn't resist, but she didn't lean into the embrace either.
My love for you is not a lie, Azair.
Yeah, I was right.
You do not have permission to use my name.
You are avoiding the subject. My feelings for you are real.
Your feelings are false.
They are as pure and true as your golden heart.
I could not believe what I was seeing. Diana had an admirer? When did this become a thing? Who even was this guy to her? Why was she so against him and his love? Oh, naive main character. You do not know the depths that Sarah will go to keep her.
You will defeat the Demon Lord and bring freedom to the Abyssal Plains. You will rise and become the land's new queen and sovereign, and I will stand beside you forevermore, because I love you.
She's just like, really, dude?
Deny my love all you may. I have served you and your family my entire life. I could never lie or hurt you. If you truly cannot love me back, then I will remain as your humble protector and servant till the end of my days.
I mean, they have sex, so I don't know what else you want.
You waste your life on me.
Aw. No.
It is not a waste to serve and protect the woman I love with my life.
You waste your love on me.
It's not a waste to love such a wonderful woman.
I didn't know what to make of this. Seto seemed really dedicated to Diana, yet she was putting up some sort of emotional wall between them that he couldn't break through. It was sad to watch. Yet from the posture Diana held, I could tell that she felt her actions were justified. Maybe she was just trying to protect him from her. Maybe she didn't want to hurt him. I had seen firsthand what she could do if you had something she needed. This must be how she acted when something needed her. Oh! Alright. Diana gently sighed. To his and my surprise, Diana turned her body slightly to Seto in his arms and ran her hand over Seto's chest, making his uniform top vanish into purple mist and leaving his chest bare. What was Diana doing? Yeah, really. That's hilarious. Okay, like, she's not nude, right? But, like, her demon markings are, like, clearly, like... And I love how, like, the demon markings are, like, the least, intricate part of her character model. Alright, well...
I need energy.
From me, or do you wish me to...
Just give me your energy. I have no time to wait for you to get me a sweet flower.
I don't know what that means. I know the sweet flower was the fruit from that tree. I'm guessing, like, I guess she can also get energy from those, like, sweet flowers? Seto nodded before gently turning Diana fully to him in his arms and kissing her. For some reason, it may have looked like a normal kiss, but I could feel the love and passion that ran through it. It was almost magical to watch. One thing was certain, however, he really did love her. The way he held her painted his feelings like a picture, so openly gentle and loving. Did she love him, though? She simply had one hand holding one of his arms, while another rested against Sarah's back. Yeah, that's not very loving. Diana's feelings were an enigma. Yeah, you can't really tell. I quickly took that moment to leave, not wanting to disturb them and not wanting to see their moment go any further than that kiss. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see it either. Of course, I'm like the one like complaining about, you know, Seto and Diana, and then I happen to just like stumble into their like their little romance. I remained in my room until night came. I was given food which looked like soup until the woman who gave it to me apologized, letting me know that food was scarce until the upcoming harvest, which was a couple of days away. Being that I was only staying the day, I didn't mind much. I was more concerned over what I was getting to eat. Looks like a stew. Some sort of stew with a mysterious chunk swimming in its broth. It smelled surprisingly good, but who knew how much it would who knew how it tasted? Okay, so this is like demon food. I don't think it's wise. No way, no how. I was not in the mood to try out new things after what I'd been through, and this was not something I wanted to try at all. I knocked the rap at the door, breaking me out of my train of thought. Huh? Come in. The door opened to reveal Diana holding a plate of things I recognized. Bread and cheese. I had let out a heavy sigh of relief before Diana laughed.
I suggest not trying that. As good as it smells, The taste would not sit well with you.
I knew it. Instantly, I moved the bowl to the nearby table, thankful that I did not have to try it. Diana handed me the plate and nodded, reassuring me that what was on it was indeed what it seemed. God, that was hard to read.
It's not much, but it's human food. Eat up.
I will. I began to chow down, feeling the hunger in my stomach dissipate with each bite and swallow. The food I was eating, surprisingly, was delicious. As I began to crave something to drink, Diana chuckled and formed a small goblet in her hand, filled with clear liquid that I assumed to be water. I took it and drank it down, feeling my thirst quenched as I let out a sigh. Oh, I feel so much better.
I can tell. Take a moment to finish eating. Then we'll head for the ritual.
Sounds good. I looked up at Diana, suddenly excited. Everything was prepared for? Was it possible to go home now? As if she read my mind, she smiled and nodded.
We finished the main preparations. We just need to head over and we'll start.
Sounds good. I couldn't continue eating. My mind went into an obsessive frenzy of wanting to go home. I stood up, moving the plate and goblet to the nearby table. Let's go. Ikimashou.
Huh? Are you sure?
Fuck yeah. I nodded, not wanting to waste any more time. I need to get home, and I was tired of waiting. Diana stared before nodding and heading for the door, opening it for me and exiting after me. She closed the door behind me. I began to feel my heart flutter in relieved joy. I was heading home. I don't think this is going to go well. I really don't. Diana led me down the corridors to the war room where I had originally arrived to reveal the table covered in plants and artifacts of different kinds. None of it made sense to me, but I had only to assume it was what was needed for the spell to work. Diana walked to the table and took note of what she saw, nodding.
This should work.
You're in doubt?
Have to be after the last time we tried sending her home. Do we have a human anchor?
No, you're on your own this time. But we'll make sure you survive casting it.
Thanks, Face. So encouraging.
The spell should work, however, because we'll be using energy material. It will only require a slice of your energy on top of these items, which your guard can refill immediately after this.
Just make sure you don't die casting it.
Diana smiled at her guard before turning to me.
So, are you ready to return home?
Yeah. She didn't have to ask. I'm ready. Diana nodded once more before turning back to the table. She lifted her arms over the surface and lowered her head, muttering under her breath.
Otenibris portas, apriat nobis, largiatur exitium, desiderium.
As she spoke, the table began to glow, and as did she. A dark purple aura began to surround her form as she lifted and arched her head back, staring at the ceiling. She's like a great conduit. A glimpse at her eyes made me gasp. A warm golden orbs covered her blood-red irises, glowing with magic. She was deep within the spell, and I could see it slowly draw energy from her body. Dang. Sounds sexy. The items on the table began to gleam wildly, light orbs floating from them and dancing in the air above the table's surface. They began to weave back and forth with each other, almost as if the lights were dancing to a silent tune. The other demon stepped back as Diana moved her arms up and pointed up to the dancing lights. Her fingers pointed into the air, leading the lights to follow where it directed obediently. She drew a large circle in the air, and the lights followed like a perfect trail, spreading out and forming a large void in the air. As they finally stopped moving, they burst into a bright light, causing the demons and I to cover our eyes. Woo! It engulfed the room, but died down just as fast, revealing a small tear in the air. Diana quickly leaned forward and dug her hands into it before pulling the tear apart, revealing my bedroom. Diana continued to pull the tear open, giving enough space for me to jump through.
Hurry and go through! This is your chance!
Yep, going. I wasn't going to let it go to waste. I gripped the bottom of the dress and rushed forward, using momentum to jump into the air forward towards the void. I could almost reach it. I could feel the air conditioning of my room right at my fingertips.
She will never leave this world alive!
Damn it. The Demon Lord's voice ran through the air just as I saw my fingertips pass through the tear. What stopped the rest of my body was a red light and forcing me back and Diana back from the opening. I felt my body fly backwards and slam into the wall before I landed on the stone ground. I heard Diana as well land beside me with a painful thud. Oh no. I looked up and felt my heart break as the tear became wrapped in red lightning, zipping itself closed and vanishing into thin air. No. No, this could not be.
Damn it!
That should have worked! How could it have failed?
We must have missed something. Was there anything we had forgotten?
No, I verified everything myself.
Then why was the Demon Lord able to overpower a gate spell?
I highly doubt you know either, brute.
Stop fighting! We need to make a plan and all of you are just being stupid! Stupid, 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 stupid!
Are you alright, Isaiah?
I'm fine. Is...
I was too lost in my mind to fully understand what was going on around me. I was so close. I felt the other side. I had almost made it home. Why couldn't I go home? Diana's grunt of pain next to me made me shoot my head towards her, and I watched her slowly push herself off the ground and glare at the table.
The Demon Lord must have done something more than simply bring her here.
What could he have done?
The Demon Lord is incapable of doing anything of the sort. His lackey imps must have done something to her.
A spell?
A curse.
I looked at the rabbit woman, seeing her stare wide-eyed at me. The other demons stared at me as well, and suddenly I felt like I was on display. Was something wrong with me?
She will not leave the demon world alive. He must have placed some sort of curse on her to prevent her from leaving this plane. In order to leave, she'd have to die.
Well, shit. What? My mind went blank. Did the demon world lord really curse me? Was I forced to stay in this world until I died? I could never go back?
Are you suggesting a barrier curse?
These are foreign words to
That
me.
would explain the red energy that sealed the tear.
But dark magic like that requires...
Blood of 1,000 demons. He must have sacrificed part of his army to cast a curse on her that would prevent her from leaving.
Holy shit. That's ruthless as fuck.
The Demon Lord is that desperate for her. The only way to break that kind of curse is to kill the caster. The Demon Lord himself.
She's trapped here until this war is over.
My body began to shiver violently. The demon lord killed 1,000 demons just to trap me, a human girl, here. Why? Why? I slammed my fists onto the ground and began to scream. I want to go home! Why? I could feel the sympathy and anger in the room, but I didn't care. I was beyond livid. I was far past broken. I was seeing red. Okay, that's kind of broken. That's a little much. Your husband isn't dead. You're not dead. No one's dead. Like, this isn't any time to be broken yet. You're not here forever. I'm not. Oh. Was that me? As my voice ripped through the air, a bright light erupted through the room once again. Everyone covered their eyes, but Diana quickly scrambled to get on her knees and covered me with her body. She held me tightly as the light invaded the space and slowly began to fade. As the light finally died, everyone moved their hands to see what had happened. In the air was a white tear that was slowly opening, facing downward towards the table. Something was coming. I could feel it in the air. The guard summoned his spear and pointed at the tear, glaring at it and gritting through his teeth.
Something's coming!
In reply, Diana summoned what looked like a saber and placed it in front of us.
Ready yourselves! It could be the Demon Lord!
The other demons in the room readied themselves and stared at the tear, either holding a weapon or preparing a spell. I felt the air change, becoming heavier as the tear began to grow. The energy around it began to pulsate, making everyone in the room that much more tense. I stared at the tear as well, frightened as to what was coming. Was it the Demon Lord? His minions? My mind began to cycle through fearful ideas of what was about to appear. All of them just tumbled through. Oh my god. It's the boys. My heart almost stopped. Falling from the chair and landing on the table were the 5 incubi brothers. So even Damien comes. Why? Oh yeah, he's still okay. Yeah. So in his route, if you romance him, he becomes human. And I was like, why would he come? He's a human, but no, he's not a human. If you don't romance him, he stays a demon. Okay. They were piled on top of one another, having come through one at a time. However, the last brother landed, the boys fell to one side, toppling off the table and landing on the floor. The rebels around me stared at the fallen pile of incubi, confused and surprised. As the tear in the air closed, the ogre man was the first to lower his sword.
What the hell?
Who are they?
Careful! They could be the Demon Lord's men!
No! The rebels looked up to see me. looked up to me as I stood up, Diana following and still protecting me as I stared at the boys on the ground. They all looked dazed and a bit shell-shocked from having fallen twice in rapid succession. I almost couldn't believe it. They were there, right in front of me. My mind couldn't help but remember how I had first met them. They had all been on the floor of my mansion, unconscious and wounded. Now they were in front of me in the demon world. I know them. Well, if you didn't know these characters previously, Damon has orange hair, James is a gray shirt, Matthew is husbando right now. The green, the red is Eric, and I'm forgetting his name right now, which makes me feel really bad because I really liked his route. He's like the brutish one. Red is like the, ooh, flirty one. Babyface. Orange hair is quiet one. And James is like the intellectual, cool guy. Anyway, I stared at the one I was meant to marry, seeing him slowly shake his head and rise from the ground. They came to rescue me. He came to rescue me. My heart became overjoyed and full of warmth and happiness. I was going to go home. The question was, how? As the sight of the boys kept the demon's attention, a second tear opened above them, causing everyone to look up. 4 women dropped down from the tear and somehow managed to fall into the arms of the incubi behind Matthew.
Whoa!
Oh, right. Oh. What? Oh, right. They all, they all, get, wives or, girlfriends or whatever when, in this game. All the boys that don't, that you aren't on the romance path for have wives. So, whoever Carrie is, it gets, him.
I gotcha.
Sam. His name is Sam. I gotcha. I like his voice. Aw. She's so cute. So I didn't see her when I played Damien's route. She's cute. Oh, I love her hair. That's the best. Is it Twilla or Trilla? I think it's Twilla. Twilla.
Whoa! Are you okay?
No.
Eric!
Look how excessive this woman is. I love it, and I love her outfit, but it just totally matches him. Eric! Irene and Eric. Perfect.
Love, I've got you!
Of course.
James!
That fucking voice. Iridessa. She looks cool. I like her too. I think they're all witches.
Whoa! Are you alright?
I stared wide-eyed. Their wives came too? The fuck? Why would they all come? Why? I don't get it. I watched as the boys and girls finally planted themselves on the ground before looking around. However, Matthew instantly bolted for me, causing Diana to jump away in surprise. Matthew wrapped his arms around me, and I instinctively tensed up from being charged at before, taking an ascent in physical form. He was here. I wasn't dreaming. He really came for me, and here he was holding me.
Are you okay? Are you hurt?
Only emotionally traumatized, but you already knew that. I'm fine. I almost couldn't believe it. But I wrapped my arms around Matthew's torso, pulling him tighter to me as I took in one more whiff of his scent. However, before I could melt into his arms in relief at his presence, he was forcefully dragged backwards. What?
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
Whoa!
Yo! Faye! I watched as the fairy figure gripped Matthew's hoodie and roughly pulled him away with me with an angered face. Wait, hold on!
Matthew!
Before anyone could react, Matthew spun around and swiped at the fairy. They squeaked and released him, floating higher into the air.
Hands off!
You hands off!
I quickly rushed over and held Matthew's hands, wanting to bring his attention away from the fairy and back to me. What kind of choice is that? The fuck? I guess kiss him. I reached up and grabbed Matthew's face, pulling him to me, and kissed him. His eyes stared back in shock before he melted against my lips and held my head in his hand, kissing me deeper. I don't know what's happening right now. She they all tumbled in, and then Fairy and Matthew's holding me, and then Faye's get the fuck off her, man. And then I'm just like, obviously, the logical thing to do is to kiss him. Okay. I closed my eyes in sync with his, and I lowered my hands to wrap them around his shoulders. I was beyond happy to feel him again. At that moment, I didn't even care how he had found me. I was just happy he was here with me again. Unfortunately, Matthew and I couldn't stay close for long. The fairies shouting caused us to pull apart and look at them.
He has the same aura as the Demon Lord!
He does? Oh. The blue. Maybe the Demon Lord had... You'd think it'd be red. Let's be real here. He's like this violent, evil mastermind. You'd think his aura would be red, not blue. Rubbing her head and glaring at the fairy, Diana stepped up, crossing her arms and rubbing her temple.
Well, he is the son of the Demon Lord.
That's not what I meant! I'm saying...
Come on, let's get you home.
Matthew gently took my hand and tugged me towards his brothers. However, this time, Damien stepped in front of Matthew.
I'm afraid she can't leave.
And why not?
She's been cursed. She can't leave this plane without dying. But if you wish to kill your bride to bring her back to the demon world, then be my guest.
Matthew glared at Diana and stepped in front of me protectively.
Why should I believe you?
It's true, Matthew. The Demon Lord cursed me, so I can't leave. I placed my hand on Matthew's shoulder, causing him to turn his head and look at me in surprise. His expression morphed from anger to sudden fear.
What? You can't be serious.
Oh yeah, I am 100% fucking serious. This is the state of the Union.
We are, but don't worry. We plan to kill the one who cursed her soon enough.
When?
1 week's time.
1 week? What?
Faye is like my spirit animal. She's just like constantly like, are you serious? Is this what we're fucking doing right now?
Where is this number coming from, Succubus?
Yeah.
We need to fully prepare ourselves for the final stage, which I'm certain will only take a couple of days. We've pinned him into a corner. The Demon Lord will fall.
That's rather bold to assume.
I agree.
She's right, though. We can prepare everything in that time frame, right?
And if he does the same and attacks us before then?
He won't.
I watched as Diana walked over and cleared the table of materials they had gathered for the gate spell, revealing a physical map of the abyssal plains. She pointed to a spot on the map, a peninsula surrounded by a water labeled as the Decaying Sea.
We'll cast a barrier spell along the edge of the peninsula and around the castle. He and his army won't be able to move from that spot until we break it ourselves, which will be during the siege.
Where would we get the energy needed for that kind of spell?
We won't be using energy.
The other rebel demons in the room suddenly tensed up, staring at Diana surprised. What was she going to do?
My lady, you're not suggesting...
The Demon Lord has shown how far he is willing to go to win this war. It's only fitting to show the extent we'll go to in response.
I disagree.
As much as I agree with you, this seems a little rash.
What are you guys talking about?
Are they allowed to know?
I plan to put a barrier curse around the Demon Lord's castle and army. It's temporary, so it won't need the blood of 1,000 demons. But it will need the sacrifice of at least one demon life.
And I assume you'll be sacrificing one of my soldiers.
Is this our only option?
There are other options, but they will most likely take a lot of energy to pull off.
It just depends on what we want to do. If we want to do this immediately, then the barrier curse is indeed the best option.
This came like way out of left field. So the Decaying Sea is where the Demon Lord is, I assume, where we need to keep him in place until we are ready to do the siege. She's going to put up a temporary one that it's got a high cost of energy or just needs one person to sacrifice their life. Normally, a demon life, whatever. But I mean, everyone in this room except for me is a demon. So like, it's still like someone sacrificing their lives for it. So, obviously it's a high stakes.
I'm not opposed to performing the curse. As rash as it is It will make our lives easier in the long run.
Yeah, but...
You expect me to hand over one of my men? My soldiers joined the rebellion to kill the Demon Lord, not to get their throats slit before even seeing the final battle?
I agree.
It's wrong, but can we really afford to spend any more energy? Diana already spent a lot trying to send the human back.
What is the other option?
The rabbit woman and the fairy moved towards the map and pointed at the
We
peninsula.
could form tall rock walls around the castle. Box him in.
It will take a lot of our energy, but we can recover in that week period.
And what will stop the Demon Lord from tearing down the walls?
I can imbue the walls with holy magic.
Yeah, because you're an angel. The incubi and I looked at him, all of us equally surprised. A demon with holy magic? How? Because he's a Nephilim.
How the fuck did you get holy magic?
I love
you
Sam.
Look and smell like a demon.
I love Sam. Like, he's the first one to, like, just come out with the F word, man. Just, how the fuck are you doing this, huh? Huh? I love Sam. He's the, you know, like, anger issue. Like, trying to think of, like, a pop culture example. Maybe, like, what was it? James Lautner from Twilight, the werewolf guy. You know, I actually read all those books, so I should really know his real... No, Taylor Lautner. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? That's the actor's name. I literally can't remember his name in the series, though. But, you know, like the... anger issues, strength, can't control my violent impulses. That's Sam. He's got a good heart, though. But, you know, that's the whole point of all these romance routes. They have some sort of problem. The guard helped me wrap his, the guard held up his wrapped hand, letting the beads around it jangle with a sudden motion.
I've had the ability to use holy magic ever since I was taken in by my lady's family. There's no doubt that I am a demon, but I can't recall how I gained this ability.
Yeah, you fucking liar. How is holy magic different than demon magic?
It's
Asking the
white
real
magic.
questions.
Unlike demon magic, holy magic isn't so finicky. Think of it as warding or dispelling magic. You can't bless air or anything that doesn't have physical form, but you can bless objects to fight back against other forms of magic.
Right, so build the wall, imbue it with holy magic. The demons within only have dark magic, and so, you know, they won't be able to take down the walls.
If the walls were blessed with holy magic, the Demon Lord wouldn't be able to escape until we released him.
Why not just trap him forever?
That's idiotic. He would still be a threat regardless. Holy magic doesn't last forever. And stone will crumble eventually.
Yeah.
He's right. We wouldn't be able to keep the walls up forever.
The situation became more and more complicated the more we discussed it. How are we ever going to go about this?
We can't just sit around and debate this forever.
Exactly.
The longer we wait, the more we risk him striking back at us.
But is it worth killing someone to trap him?
When we finally strike, we will lose hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers anyway. What difference will it make to lose one more life on top of this?
I think it matters a ton. It's, you know, willingness, for one thing, and also, you know, I mean, no one wants to be the one to be like, yeah, I will for sure gonna die. When you go into battle, you have a hope that you'll survive, right? That, you know, this is like, nope, you're gonna die. So.
Soulless fuck.
I agree.
We can still cage him in.
I bit my lip. It was a really tough decision. A curse or a trap, which was better? So the curse is that the barrier. The trap is the walls, which was better. Both had their prices, but we had to choose one. From the look of it, no one wanted to speak up. I felt the urge to say something. Maybe I would be the one to determine everything. Of course I am, because I'm the main character. Which method would be best to choose? Y'all, I ain't gonna be soulless. I ain't gonna be a soulless fuck. I say the trap. Everyone looked at me as I finally spoke. We needed to be better than the Demon Lord. He was willing to sacrifice lives to trap me here, but it only showed how desperate he was to win and how little he valued life. He would lose this war one way or another. it wasn't worth losing someone who could help turn the tide of war. Yeah, Mulan, okay? That movie was great. She turned the tide of war in the Disney movie, all right? A single rice could tip the scale. One man may be the difference between victory and defeat. And that is the philosophy that we are going with. When can you put a barrier up?
We can leave after this, meeting is over.
Are you sure this is the best choice?
Yeah. The curse isn't the only option. We need to show that we're better than him. Everyone nodded, some in reluctance while others did with confidence. I looked at Diana just in time to catch a twitch from her visible eye, but she shook her head and looked to the rabbit woman.
Are you quite positive this will work?
I am very certain. Since it will be just 3 of us going, we can shadow travel there and be back by the morning.
I mean, it would actually be a really dangerous mission if you think about it. I mean, unless this wall is like 100 miles out from the actual like headquarters of the Demon Lord. Otherwise, I mean, you know, I'm sure there's patrols, demon armies standing by. To me, it seems like it'd be a dangerous mission.
Very well. If you believe it will work, then I trust you will make sure it does.
As the guard nodded and slightly bowed, the other demons seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Were they worried about performing the curse? Yeah? Diana shook her head before crossing her arms and looked directly at me.
So, since you'll be here for a while, we might as well give you names that you can use to refer to everyone here.
Oh, finally.
Are we getting human names?
Must we?
Diana rolled her eyes and gestured to each demon, naming them on the fly.
For the sake of time, we'll use simple names. This is Rabbit, our magic advisor. Sergeant, commander of our armies. Shadow, leader of our assassins. And Faye, our nomadic force ambassador.
Sergeant? I'm a commander, succubus. Shouldn't my name be Commander?
It's easier on the tongue, though, to say Sergeant.
Yeah.
My lady, what shall they call me?
Diana looked at Cero for a moment before turning towards me, a look of seriousness emanting from her eyes.
You may call him Cero. He is my personal guard, and he is always by my side.
The other demons and Cero seemed to be surprised. Was Cero his true demon name? Why would she give it to me?
Are you sure?
Call him only if your life depends on it. Do not abuse this permission.
I don't like him, so I'm not. Her eyes seemed to burn as she gazed into mine, full of hatred and, of hard intent and warning. I had mentally noted her seriousness as she ran a hand through her hair. Oh, I want to run a hand through those hairs.
Well, now that our plan and introductions are out of the way, I believe we can end this meeting. We have a lot to accomplish in 1 week.
Yeah. You want to literally win a war in a week.
What about us? You don't expect us to sit around.
Yeah, you're like stuck here, so...
Actually, I do. You all don't belong on the battlefield.
What?
What are you talking about?
I will not take untrained and unarmed beings into a war zone.
Hold on. I interjected, stepping forward and crossing my arms at Diana. Was she seriously wasn't going to make us... Oh. She seriously wasn't going to make us stay back while she fought the Demon Lord, was she? Alright. Look. They are the sons of the Demon Lord. They were running from him. They all hate him. They all have a reason to kill him. They should be part of this fight. And they're demons, and powerful demons, because they're the son of the Demon Lord. I don't know about waifu over here. But I think this time, yeah, it's either that's not fair, Diana, or we can fight too. I think we can fight too. Diana squinted at me, pressing her lips together into a fine line. However, I meant what I said. We can fight too.
You expect me to trust that you can fight in a war?
Let me and my brothers train then. We're demons, for fuck's sake. We know how to fight.
Yeah! The boy stared at Diana as she turned her head towards Sam. He was right, though. They knew how to train, so they know how to fight. If they fought with the rebellion, there would be a better chance of winning the war.
You all realize this is a war, correct? You can die here.
We understand completely.
Sign me up for the next war.
We do as well.
We do as well. I'm sorry, she kind of annoys me, just because of the Diana can only stare at her group as we challenged her proclamation. I wrapped my hand around my fiance's arm, frightened at the idea of participating in a war, but knowing that we all need the strength. We needed all the strength we could muster to finish off the Demon Lord. This was the only way that I could go home. Defeated, Diana sighed and rubbed her temples.
Very well. I can't exactly keep you here like prisoners, so it will be up to you if you choose to train for battle. However, I highly suggest just staying here and allowing us to handle it.
Fuck that. Week's a long time. I ain't gonna sit around. I nodded, as did the others. This was really happening. We were going to kill the Demon Lord, and we had a 1 week to either prepare for war or wait it out. Diana turned towards me and looked at my outfit. I had nearly forgotten that I was still in my wedding dress until Diana pointed at my chest.
Lumen infere, bellum tabescere, serene.
Okay. I stared at her, unsure it was why she was speaking in Latin, until I felt the fabric around my body shift and change. I quickly looked down to see my wedding dress morph into an outfit that looked perfect for the demon world. Yay! The white top shifted into a long-sleeved, oversized tunic with a leather corset and vest, while the bottom part of the gown split and wrapped around my legs, forming into dark leggings. My shoes stretched into long knee-high boots. Nice!
Oh, wow. That looks really good on you.
Aw, thanks, Iridessa. I blushed, getting used to the feel of the outfit. My corset wasn't tight, but it was still something new along with the rest of the garb. Matthew, however, smiled down at me and kissed my forehead.
You look really cute.
Aw, thanks. No, thanks.
Faye, Rabbit, you both should finish your preparations and head over to the Demon Lord's castle for the spell.
How are you going to get there?
I'll get us there, no problem.
Thanks.
Just make sure we don't get stuck there or lost.
No promises.
So good. So consoling.
Zeno, make sure the job is done.
I shall, my lady.
Seto, Faye, and Rabbit began to make their way out of the room, and Diana turned to me and my group. As they left, Diana let a small sigh.
I will take you to some rooms you may rest in.
Thank you, Diana. Diana merely nodded and led our group out of the room towards our new temporary rooms. Oh yeah, a room for each couple. This entire experience was not something I expected to go through, especially since now it was interfering with my wedding. I was trapped in the demon world, under a curse I couldn't break. Without the demon lord being killed, and I was expected to wait. The entire journey to my room became one filled with mild anger within me. At least Matthew was here to help me through this, but I still can't but let the situation sink underneath my skin. This wasn't fair at all. Yeah, well, life's not fair, Buttercup. I knew Matthew could sense my anger as he lightly squeezed my hand, which was gently cupped in his as he walked beside me.
Hey, what's wrong?
Oh, I don't know. I was supposed to be married today, and that didn't happen. And then all I've had is bread and cheese for a day, like 2 days now. And, well, actually, that's not true. It's just a day. And I'm in a strange place that I don't really know, in a strange castle with the woman who tried to seduce you 2 years ago. And, oh yeah, and the Demon Lord wants me dead. Or for something else that we don't know. Just a couple minor things, you know. Tell him or calm down. Well, remember our philosophy. Open, honest communication. Woo! I let out a shaky sigh and looked at him, letting it go. What? Oh. It's just unfair, you know. This whole thing has become a large, complicated mess, and I gritted my teeth and squeezed Matthew's hand back. I didn't want to complain, as things were going to be fixed soon, but it was still infuriating to think that I couldn't do anything immediately. Matthew slowly released my hand and wrapped it around my shoulders.
Hey, don't worry about it, all right? Think about it as a vacation or something.
A vacation in which all of us could die. A vacation? Matthew grinned and nodded, hugging me slightly to his side.
Yeah, a vacation to, see new sights?
Like the Demon Lord stabbing me in the gut. To see you put a collar around my neck and torture Diana. You know, the best sorts of vacations. Great travel. I'm a tourist, you know. I couldn't help the amused smile on my face as Matthew tried to make me feel better. It was another reason why I adored him. He did his very best to make sure that I was happy. Despite the crappy situation we were in, I was thankful for that. Wrapped my arm around him and nodded. Thanks, Matthew. You're so sweet. Matthew smiled and nodded before kissing my cheek.
You're welcome. Anything for you.
All right, well, then I'm going to lay some ground rules. No collars, no cages, no torture. Yeah, and no generally becoming a dick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're in the room now. Oh, well, I need to take a break. It's been way longer than I thought. I'm super thirsty. And I think next time we can continue with Matthew's route. Seems like there's potential sexy times to come. However, I'm not going to obviously go through it, but you can look forward to that romance. So I will see you in the next one. Bye!